You're prepared for this rant. Everyone's convinced it's gonna be a giant rant, but I mean, look, guys. All right, it's not necessarily gonna be a rant. All right, but welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to the podcast, guys. It's nice to see you again, everyone. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a full review of Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Should be pretty interesting. We should be pretty hype. I'm hoping you guys enjoy the show today. But yeah, you know, it's give you guys a full week. We'll catch the movie. You can bring your opinions, bring your salts or your rants or your hype for the film. If you love the movie, that's totally fine. This is a place of free opinion, free action. Yeah. Yeah, so I just figured, you know, like I usually do, I chat with you guys a little bit, you know, say what's up before we get started. But yeah, we're gonna go on pretty hard on the movie. I'm gonna probably end up doing this like a 10-15 minute review, kind of spoiler free, before we break down pretty much the other stuff that you might have had an opinion about. I mean, like, I'm sure people are doing spoiler free reviews, all that stuff, and that's great. I'm gonna do a little one at the beginning of the show here, but there's too many things in this movie that you can kind of just not. I don't know, guys. Like, it's hard to kind of give this movie a full review, without going into some details. But there's so many things that are gonna pretty much, divide a lot of the fans and critics and everything else there. About what the characters should do and shouldn't do, and also like some of the things that just happen in the movie that's completely fucking random, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to breaking down each side of the debate, because I see a lot of good things about the film that I think can make it somewhat redeemable to a certain extent, like visually. But there are some decisions I just feel like make it a little bit rough. But we'll go into that a little bit more in a bit here. But yeah, figured I'd just talk with you guys a little bit at the beginning of the stream. See how you guys are doing. This Friday, and all of you guys are probably laid out, relaxing, shooting the breeze. But yeah, I think that we have plenty to talk about though with this movie. It came out in an interesting time too. I think that there's a lot of comic book films that are kind of moving towards that fall release, not fall release, but like early spring release. I know that you saw like Winter Soldier do it, and it was a huge success. I think it's kind of like that. It's got that sweet spot, in the year. You kind of saw it a bit with Deadpool earlier in February, but there's not as many, big blockbuster films so early on in the year. You get used to seeing summer blockbusters, and now they've been dropping more and more of these films, earlier on in the year. It looks like, and so I say it could be a pretty successful decision depending on the film. So far, I think it's worked out pretty well. We've seen Deadpool, we see Batman vs Superman, both of those together. They've been pretty solid as far as releases go. As far as like just flat out making money, they've done a pretty good job at both of those. But considering that there's multiple superheroes combined in one, movie here, that's not really that surprising. But yeah, so I think that we should break down everything. I'm gonna have the poll up here for you guys to vote in. Choose what you thought of the film. I'm gonna put the poll in chat again here too. You're like, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. So we're gonna go into the full, chat and everything else here. Just gonna have to give it a bit. Trying to find my text chat here as well, but it should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully catching more TV shows too that I can talk about on the stream. We got Walking Dead and Game of Thrones is coming back soon. There'll be a few options pretty soon here on the cast. Where is my Twitch chat? I added so many overlay stuff, like so much overlay stuff that I don't remember what I did with the Twitch chat in here. So I want your comments to show up on the stream. So I gotta find it in the scene here. There's so much stuff. But like, how's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. We're going over Batman vs Superman in a minute here. Looks like I can find what I'm looking for. Freaking chat. But yeah, winter is coming, Corey. Yes, I mean, like, I love Game of Thrones. I think it's been interesting too. I know there's a lot of people who are like, it's gone so far from the books, and I haven't read the books yet, so it doesn't really apply to me. So far, for me, it's been really interesting the past few seasons, and there were some really crazy, decisions made to a certain extent. But I can't really say that's a bad thing, to differentiate yourself from the book. It seems like it's a good idea, keep people fresh, and make sure they're actually, able to enjoy the story and everything else there without having to necessarily follow the book, to the T. So, plus, I mean, you're working with someone who's still working on a book, so that makes it even harder to kind of, get things down. That's just my opinion. All right, I think I found it here. Sorry, guys, I had to find the Twitch chat to put it back on here on the overlay for you guys to be able to see yourselves on the stream here. All I know is the first season is full of sex. Well, yes, I mean, Game of Thrones, there is a lot of sexual acts there, indeed. A lot of goody, I don't know how to explain it. Just a lot of smashing, a lot of smashing going down. Yeah, let me see if I can find it here, guys. I'm sorry. Got distracted looking for this freaking Twitch chat. But I'm going blind. Here we go, chat. Move that up a bit. There we go. Twitch chat got buried underneath all that stuff, so there we go. All right, guys. So yeah, so feel free to have an opinion on the film. I have a poll open right now. If you guys want to vote in that poll, let me know what you guys thought of the movie. You can also tweet me on Twitter, Doom using hashtag the Doomcast. Let me know what you guys think of the film. It should be pretty interesting to talk with you guys. I know some people actually enjoyed it a lot. So I had my opinion. I feel like there's plenty of thoughts on either side. But we'll see. Let's see what you guys think. I'll check on the poll. Super, we got 2 for, it could have been better, but not overall. I liked it a lot. It was a bad movie, but I've seen worse. So some of you guys have, opinions that, the movie was okay, I'd say that when I first saw it, I was really I was more annoyed than anything, I guess, with the way the film was portraying the characters. And now, I don't know, like now it's more like a, I'm thinking the right word I want to use for it. It's kind of, lingered a bit more in my mind. I've had more time to think about it. What's up, Young? How's it going, man? But yeah, I've had a little bit more time to think about the movie. I still say it's bad. It's like I can't get past that. But I will say that I can see kind of what some of the ideas were for the film compared to the first time I thought about after watching the film. Like my knee-jerk reactions before. I'd say but like when I left the movie theater, there was just so much shock there. I was like, oh, what? I don't understand what I just watched. And now it's like, I still don't really have a desire to watch the movie again, but it's not as strong a hate as I had earlier. It is pretty freaking ridiculous though. Like I feel like they dropped the ball a lot with this movie. As far as it being ambitious enough to kind of carry the universe, is missing at some points. Yeah, we'll see, you guys. I'll talk about each moment I think was kind of silly, but we're gonna give a general review first here. of the film. So I'm gonna break down some of the key moments, you know, without spoiling too much. Um, let's see. Where do you want to start, guys? I'd say that, you know, as far as we'll break down kind of in categories, and we'll see what we think here. I thought Game of Thrones was softcore porn. Really? Was that a blind joke? Didn't he know, like, Kappa? It's a rental and no, I haven't seen the movie. I'd say that Batman vs Superman, it's like that movie you watch on like on FX, you know, when you're bored and it's like the middle of the summer and it's too hot to go outside, really. So you're just kind of chilling with like a glass of lemonade, and you know you don't really feel like gaming because you were gaming too much that day. And there was some show on FX, you know. It's like, oh, well, Batman vs Superman is on. I guess I'll watch a bit of this for a little bit before I go outside. That's what this is the feeling I get from Batman vs Superman. Like I'm gonna watch a bit of it on FX one day, you know, randomly. It's probably the only time I'm gonna see the movie again. I'm not gonna get it on Blu-ray, that's for sure. But all right, we can turn off the tunes for now. I think we're ready to get the get down. So yeah, basically, I would say that Batman vs Superman, it has this feeling. In my opinion, I think you'd be better off watching The Dark Knight Returns on Blu-ray. Yeah, part one and part two. If you guys haven't seen the animated show, The Dark Knight Returns, it came out a couple years ago. That's a better representation of the story, and it kind of captures, I think, more of the idea of that imagery in that film than you're gonna get in this one, to be honest. Um, did you see the Jimmy Kimmel skit for the movie? No, I didn't actually. That sounds interesting. My school day flew past me today. Now I'm on spring break hype. Nice. See you guys. You know, got a little time off to relax. But yeah, so I'd say that, you know, if you want a better representation of the characters and just the kind of the idea I think that they were going for in this movie, just go watch The Dark Knight Returns. It's an animated movie, but I think that it's done pretty well. It has some really good voice acting, and it's just as, you know, brutal and you know, mature as the movie is here. Well, I think it does a better idea. Does a better job of kind of getting all those characters together and making it make sense. And plus, there's a lot of characters in there that you don't see in these movies because they're not established yet. You know, like Green Arrow and, you know, a few other characters that you don't see in this film. Well, I guess you can say that's a spoiler, but I mean, come on, you didn't really think they were going to show up in the movie here. And we're gonna get, you know, when we get to the spoiler side of the actual review, I'll talk a bit more about, you know, the Justice League and how they set up that kind of stuff in the movie, and a few other things. But we're gonna just do a general review first here of the film. I gotta say that Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, guys. I think that when it comes to the film itself, it kind of gets some things right. Like the feel of some of the characters is pretty well done to a certain extent. You know, like the actual look. Like I'd say Ben Affleck. People were really doubting Ben Affleck in this movie. I think that he looks and feels like Batman in this one. I think he's got it pretty good. The movement is fluid, you know, as far as his actual like combat goes. Pretty legit stuff. Like I felt like it was an aged, kind of worn down Batman who's been fighting crime for 10 years. I got that feeling from the character, you know, at least to that certain extent. Or, you know, he's still got the Boy Scout look. He's got the boyish charm, you know, in the ridiculous muscles, and he feels like Superman. So they captured, you know, the characters, I think, as far as the look goes, pretty well, and they brought them into this world with a realistic tone, and it pays off pretty well here. I think it's really well done on that aspect. Even, you know, Gal Gadot, who was they've been kind of hating on pretty hard since the movie even got announced. She ended up being kind of the bright light of the entire affair, in my opinion. Like I really enjoyed the Wonder Woman they created for the movie. So I would say that if you guys are, you know, interested in the characters, there's some decent moments in the film that, you know, you can go, oh wow, I'm seeing this on screen. You know, Superman is being more Superman like, and Batman, you know, he's fighting crime and some of the elements in the film. You get to see some real cool superhero action to a certain extent throughout the film. So that part, I give them credit for it because you're still getting these characters on screen, and there's something to be said about that. But yeah, so I'd say on that aspect, visually, the characters, I'm not gonna say they're exactly spot on, but there's definitely a good representation of all of them here. I think that Ben Affleck's Batman is definitely more of a Batman I could see taking on, superpowered criminals, an escalated version of the Joker or, Killer Croc or something like that. I could see that kind of Batman taking on those characters in the world they've kind of created here. It's a delicate balance if you think about it between the world that's kind of created in Batman movies and films, and like the one in the comic books where you have characters like Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy and Solomon Grundy and stuff like that. It's kind of like this weird balance that I think that it's kind of hard to kind of get right in a movie like this, or in just in general. With a character like Batman, he's still just an ordinary man, but he's got the savvy, the sharpness, the technology to kind of make himself something bigger and better. He escalates the entire city of Gotham basically in the whole world of crime, and you see what happens when that happens. Like it expands into something even crazier than you might have expected. So you get the kind of Batman in this movie who's kind of been through some things. You guys saw in the trailer, if you saw the Joker, spray paint on the Robin costume, that kind of stuff. So there's some moments there where that Batman's been through some tough times. You also have Clark here. He's kind of still trying to understand his humanity, I guess you could say, like his humanity for a world he lives in that is kind of not sure what to think of him. Like half of them are saying, "Oh, Superman's our hero or he's our savior." The other half is like, "Yeah, this Superman is a menace. He's a threat. Look what happened to our city." Because Man of Steel led to a lot of people dying. Superhero fights or buildings crashing down around them. That does have collateral damage, and so people want powers to be in check. Which you've seen that theme before in movies like Watchmen. Even with Civil War coming up soon, they want these superhero, super metahumans that they call them. They want them to have some kind of check. They want them to have something to check them, make sure they're still regulated. They're not just out here just being vigilantes and kicking ass with no control or jurisdiction. It's just understandable, and I think that there's a scene towards the beginning of the film that really does that well. I'll talk about it a little bit later after we go through this just kind of spoiler free version of the review. But there's some solid political choices and I'd say decisions made at that point in the film. Then I think that's not a bad thing. I think that with Zack Snyder, I feel like he takes a lot of decisions that would be really divisive. And I have to give him some credit for at least taking those chances, but a lot of them just don't end up executed well here in this that particular story, and that's what kind of drags it down. There's flashback and dream sequence scenes that really are just off-putting to like the film goer in my opinion, just from a film standpoint, which I would like to understand when people are like, "Oh, it got such bad reviews and 30% on Rotten Tomatoes." I think they have to keep in mind that even from a critic standpoint, they understand it's a superhero movie, and so they can still grade it, knowing what it is. And I like to get to the point in which hopefully one day, we'll get superhero films, and they're not just considered superhero movies, and they're just considered good movies. And I think that time could come. We had some solid ones so far. I mean, The Dark Knight was pretty up there. The Dark Knight was pretty much just a good movie overall. Yawn of Justice. Akira, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. We're just talking about the Batman vs Superman. I'm going a little bit spoiler free at the beginning here, just to give some people a taste of the movie, what I thought of it before we go into the heavier stuff. But yeah, I'd say that overall, there's a reason why the critics were probably harsher on this one because a lot of it, from a film standpoint, was lacking. There's just like weird moments in storytelling. I have to give other some of the other movies some credit as well because I feel like they at least still tell a story and they understand that the general audience might not have more understanding of some of these characters. Whereas this movie just kind of throw things at you. It's like, oh, this is gonna happen here, and random flashback and dream sequences, and now we're back in the real movie again. You can't like throw the audience around like that, constantly, and then expect them to just keep being engaged without being confused. And so I can understand, like, a critic looking at the movie and going like, what the hell is happening right now? Why is this shit going down like this? So from that standpoint, yeah, I'd say there was some things lacking there. Visually, there's some interesting moments, but there's also some really cheesy, like, over the top explosion moments where you're like, okay, Michael Bay, please, is this Michael Bay playing right now? Is he directing this movie? Because it's kind of crazy. There's a couple of those moments in there too where they're just over the top, ridiculous. Also, I can say, this is still spoiler free, but the fight you guys are expecting, the one that you guys are all hyped for the movie, was not really that good to me. I didn't really enjoy it. Like, I was like, okay, this is kind of okay, kind of cool. I think that I enjoyed it more in the animated movie than I did in this movie. But for people who've never seen any of that material before, it probably was pretty badass to them. Since I've seen the source material and some of the other animated movies and that kind of stuff, it just felt kind of lackluster to me compared to the actual film. I think they tried a little too hard to set the Justice League up and failed to focus on the movie. Yeah, I said that's another good point. There is some setup there. You have Wonder Woman and a few other characters who are alluded to throughout the film, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute here too. But there's definitely a lot of pressure. You can feel it to set up this world of the Justice League and make it something, something that we look forward to. I mean, you have Avengers. Everyone's trying to do this whole big superhero expansion, for the universes. We got Fox over there trying to expand X-Men right now into its own, universe of all these branches of X-Men, which is understandable because actually X-Men, I think, it's one of the few franchises that can actually do that on their own. They have New Mutants, they have X-Force, they have X-Men. You got, Excalibur, and there's plenty of X-Men, there's plenty of mutants out there, so I can see that kind of happening. But the problem is it's Fox doing it, and they try and combine things in weird ways. You have the Fantastic Four. We saw how that turned out, looking terrible. So yeah, so I mean, I can understand that, and of course, DC wants to make that happen too. Everyone wants to be the next Marvel. Not saying that Marvel isn't messing up either, to a certain extent. I mean, Marvel has had a couple fails, and they've fallen short a few times too on their end. But they were creating a universe on their own there, and they were ambitious. They took that leap of faith from the start, and that's why they have a head start now compared to other companies. Other companies are trying to get one or two, things started, and now they're behind. So to play catch up, you have these movies coming out with all of this stuff crammed into one, trying to make it happen. You saw what happened with Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 last year, or is that 2 years ago now? I'm getting that old. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was trying so hard to set up a universe, and it was failing because it wasn't focusing on the main story at hand. It was just throwing things at you, just like, here are these characters, here we're gonna be doing setting up this thing. It wasn't focusing on the fact that this is still a movie. People even criticize Star Wars for that. Star Wars: Force Awakens, for saying they were setting up a trilogy and not setting up an individual movie enough. And so I can kind of understand that, but there's just a couple things, a few things I would say that keep it from being focused enough to be considered a good movie overall. If people like me who don't keep up with the DC comics, are only reaction to those dream sequences was what? Yeah, exactly. It's like even me, and I understand kind of where they're coming from. I'm still like, this is not executed well. I was sitting there in the movie theater looking at these dream sequences, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. This is a terrible way to do it. Like, I was watching the film in the theater like, this is the awful way to go about this right now. I don't understand why you're doing this to yourself. Like, it was not the best idea in my opinion. But yeah, so overall, I'd say review wise, Batman vs Superman. There's a few good moments. You get some classic characters, and you get to see them in motion in a real life film. There's some credit to that. Also, there's some solid performances. I think that one of them was kind of a standout. Alfred is actually another big standout for me. I think that Alfred was a great cast. I think that both of those characters kind of gravitated towards grounding the other characters. I think Alfred really made Ben Affleck's version of Batman stand out a bit more because it seemed more relatable. Like they were, they've grown up together, and Alfred's got like tech savvy and stuff like that. It was pretty cool to see on screen. I say that Ben Affleck as Batman was pretty solid, but I can't give him the same nod I do to Wonder Woman. But that's more because of the writing, I think, because they didn't make Batman and Superman seem intelligent to me. Like they made decisions that were just not ones I would make. Like, and I would expect the characters to make. That's what throws me off more than anything. Like the thing that kind of keeps the movie from even being somewhat okay, in my opinion, compared to other films of the same nature, is that the characters themselves don't even seem like themselves. Like Superman makes decisions I don't even understand what he's doing sometimes on some of these choices he's made. Batman is drastically escalated beyond anything that you're used to seeing in any other movies, and it definitely has an effect. Definitely has an effect on the audience. I think the way that they portray some of the characters, and so that's what holds it back for me. I still want Black Cat to someday appear in a Spidey film. Well, I think they would have probably had that set up at some point if that was actually Spider-Man actually paid off for him. But we are getting the Spider-Man movie, by Marvel in a few months. Actually, I guess it's a year from now, year and a half, 2017. So we get some Spider-Man soon. We'll see him actually in a few months though in Civil War. So that's interesting. I like Star Wars in my opinion. Yeah, I like Star Wars too. I thought it was pretty good. It's hard to kind of branch together a movie like that. Yeah, keep in mind that Star Wars, like it's a franchise that's been around for like over 30 years. You're bringing back characters that have survived the generation basically, and you also got your new characters trying to set up an entire new universe, kind of branched off to for new characters and everything else there and actors. It's a lot going on there to put into one film and still be able to make it appeal to the old crowd and a new crowd. The Star Wars is supposed to be it's meant to be a movie that you can go take your family to now. You remember watching Star Wars yourself, and now you're gonna bring your kid in, and they're gonna get excited for Star Wars and these new characters, and you got black, white, women, male, diverse characters. You got aliens. You got all this stuff in one screen, and I think it's a good thing to see. There's one thing I will say is that Batman and Superman. They do. I think the casting is pretty solid in this one. And there's some good moments. I think we haven't gotten into Lex and a few other things there, but for the most part, the casting's solid. It's just a few standouts that are just they bring the film down for sure. So I think we've gone as far as we can, pretty much without spoiling anything. But as you guys can, I'll just tell you guys basically, I didn't enjoy the film. I thought that it was just okay. And even then, like when I first left the theater, I was like, I hate this movie. It's fucking terrible. Now it's more like I kind of understand a little bit more of what they were trying to go for after talking to a few other people outside of the stream. But it's still not executed well at all. I just say it's just not a good movie. This it fell short in so many different ways. Hey, yo, I was here yesterday. Yeah, I remember. I remember you guys. 12. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, basically, guys, here we go. I'm gonna go into the more spoiler heavy stuff now. We're gonna start breaking down some real heavy stuff on the stream for Batman vs Superman. I'm going all in. All right, this is what you guys have been waiting for. You got your spoiler free version of the review. If you haven't seen the movie yet, or you still planning on seeing it, and you don't want to get spoiled, you can go ahead and just stroll on out. We're gonna go ham now. Yo, Kellen, what's up, man? Welcome. President accounted for. Okay, well, it's time to go heavy into the other stuff, guys. All right, so first off, all right, for the reasons why I was not as happy with the film. All right, let's start off with Batman. Batman, I think the costume was badass. Don't get me wrong, costume was awesome. You had Ben doing this thing. There were some good moments there, but keep in mind, guys, keep in mind that Batman is just like on a wrecking, just going ham. This one, okay, he's just like out there just killing people, okay, going crazy. Batman just seems to have lost any like morality as far as that goes. I mean, like at the same time, one of my friends said that Batman was pushed to a certain extent now where people don't get up. But there's a few things that are are brought up here, and I think that reasons why I really enjoyed Nolan's Batman to a certain extent. Even though I think that Ben Affleck's Batman is more interesting right now, as far as the character goes. I think Ben Affleck's kind of his Batman's kind of warmed up a lot more for me after seeing the movie. But in this movie, I'd say that the way they treat Batman kind of completely contradicts his character to a certain extent. Yes, there's been a few times where Batman's had to push it to that limit. Basically, they had no other choice. But there seems to be some things here that make Batman more sinister than I think that his character needs to be. It's a little bit more sadistic. One of them being the bat branding they bring up in the movie. So basically, like Batman starts branding people with his batarang, and basically, if you get the batarang brand on your chest there and you end up in prison, it's basically a death warrant. Like they kill you in prison with that brand on your chest. So to a certain extent, Batman's leading people getting killed just like that. I don't know if I feel okay with that. And then there's several moments in the film where Batman just seems to not care at all about people dying. He's just like, whatever, chain guns, just let them rip. All right, he's driving over cars and people in them. He's like flipping over cars and shit like that, just blowing up. And like it's like Batman does not care about the lives at all in this movie. He's just doing whatever he wants. It's like John McClane in a Batman suit, just going crazy. Laser eyes are OP. Yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah, he's like indirectly killing people basically. I'm like, this is like some Saw stuff. So yeah, that was that. So that was really that threw me off first. I was like, okay, this is too much. Don't get me wrong though, the actual scene, with the first Bat brand was shown was actually really well done. Like you get that fear from like the Gotham PD, and they're like pulling around the corners with the shotgun and stuff like that, and the flashlights, and they're like, what the fuck is in here? Is it Batman? That was actually pretty cool. It was like it's a mixture of being scary and like how you would imagine if you were walking into an empty ass apartment, and you see Batman. Like it's not a game. That was actually well executed. I think the moments where Batman was being Batman in the film were actually pretty cool. Especially like just that whole scene. It made me want a Gotham show that was actually a Gotham show. You know what I mean? Uh, like we had got an actual Gotham PD show, like the comic books or Gotham Central. I think it would have been pretty awesome if you kind of like a show like that on AMC or something like that. And you would have had the viewpoint of the police while Batman's out there kicking ass and taking on crime and all that kind of stuff. And you got to see first person view of the criminals and all that kind of stuff with the police department. I think that like the way this was shot at the beginning of the movie, there it would have been pretty cool in a TV show or even a miniseries would have been pretty awesome, in my opinion. So Batman kills people now. Why? Because he got bored. No, I mean like it to a certain extent. So I'm gonna go into some heavier spoiler stuff. Um, yeah. But thanks, Skunk. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, Skunk 12. You're from Germany, nice. So there's a few reasons why Batman escalates to killing in the movie, and some people have tried to justify it for me as well. I'd say that Batman, he uh he has a few reasons why, at least to a certain extent, throughout the movie. One of them, he feels like Superman is too is too powerful to just leave alone, basically, and he's seen what can happen when you just leave things alone. They keep coming out. These criminals keep coming out, and they keep causing havoc and causing trouble. And you see what happens with Robin, for example. I think that the idea that Robin is killed by the Joker, Hans Batman, and according to Zack Snyder, he says that the event happened about 10 years ago when Robin died. I think that another fault for Snyder is that he does things in a way that end up looking better in the trailer than they do on screen. I think that that's a big thing in this movie, where like the scene where you see the whole Robin suit and you see the Joker's handwriting on it and all that stuff. It seemed like it was gonna be really really powerful in the trailer, and then when I saw it in the movie, I was like, this is not how I thought it was gonna show up here. I thought they were gonna have like a flashback of like that being actually shown or something there with Robin, or like even just the suit, and Batman finding that suit or something on display by the Joker. And instead, it's in the Batcave, just on display there. I don't know why Batman would want to have that suit, spray painted the way it is, on display in the front of the Batcave, but whatever. So that didn't really have the same hold to it like I thought it was gonna have, in the movie. Don't know how I can express myself about Batman here. What I think of Batman in this film, this is Frank Miller's Batman being depicted very well. The parts where he used the guns in those scenes where he was on the apocalypse invading the Earth, I can understand why he went to that extent. Because maybe it's the end of the world and who gives a crap, but I can't justify that. But the thing is that that's totally fine. So we're gonna get into that scene too with Batman on Apocalypse. It's basically Earth turned into like an Apocalypse version. In Apocalypse, you see the henchmen of Darkseid show up there, and it's pretty cool. I'm gonna be wrong. That's some pretty cool imagery. You get a steampunk Batman with he's got machine guns and stuff like that, and he's going crazy. And Superman's helping out like Darkseid for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. But anyways, that's a whole dream sequence or whatever. The problem is that you introduce that dream sequence so early on in the movie that the audience gets confused. They're like, first off, Batman's in here just going ham with these guns, and then it ends up being a dream that you can't really explain without being a comic book fan. So then, what do you like? How does it leave the audience? You know what I mean? Like, imagine being a moviegoer and you go into a movie where you have Batman and Superman, two supposed heroes, and then you have Batman dreaming about taking the Uzi to someone's face, basically. A few minutes later, it's just too much. Just too much going. It's just too much on the screen. They're trying to do too much in one movie, and it shows off really early on. Like it's like it doesn't just happen once or twice. There's like random deep like dream sequences a few times in the movie. You get Batman, you get Bruce like floating. Don't forget about the Bruce Wayne scene where you have, of course, you see that his parents get killed again for like the 19th time. All right, you think we've seen like Bruce in that movie scene outside the movie theater and his parents are getting shot 30,000 times now. We see it again in this movie, and then you get Bruce falling down into the well with the bats, and then suddenly he's floating. That entire thing was so fucking strange. It was so obscure. I was like, okay, this is just weird. I know there's some kind of alliteration here, and you guys are trying to be subjective and artsy and stuff, but that was just weird. It was just strange. The bats were like right like had them floating in the air and stuff. Um, but yeah, we got the most brutal and punching Batman ever written when it comes to the chase scene and in this fight scene. Exactly, like the Batman I saw, like he was chasing down the criminals, in that Batmobile and just running them over, just like fucking, just like blowing up cars and stuff like that. There's no way in hell that people were surviving those explosions he was doing there with the gunshots. He was blowing the hell out of people. In the Dark Knight Returns, he had bullets, yeah, but they were rubber bullets. They weren't real bullets. He was shooting at them. He was throwing out beanbags and rubber bullets to suppress them. He wasn't throwing out real live bullets. Batman killing people threw me off too, but at the same time, as a comic reader, I can understand the use of guns. But at the same time, I agree with people who definitely aren't comic with it. Well, the thing is, one of the things that makes Batman Batman is that he doesn't need guns if I can get the job done. He goes up against criminals that have guns all the time. You even see like he has like bulletproof like helmet gear or something there. He was eating bullets in the one fight scene. They shot him like a couple times, and it just bounced off his ass. But he got some pretty tight armor on underneath that cowl. But there were just some scenes there, like Batman moving in that film was pretty dope. Don't get me wrong, like there's some really good stuff they did with the Batman there. I think that Batman was escalated a little too much to be taken seriously beyond that point. Siren, thank you for the host. Siren Sizzle, how's it going? Welcome to stream. Kevlar is tough. Yeah, I know Kevlar is tough, but he was taking like shot. You think that one shot from that one guy, like point blank in the back of the head there, he just ate it and then turned around and smacked him in the face. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you at least have a concussion or something there, even if you're Batman. Siren, how's it going? Welcome to stream. We're going all out on Batman vs Superman right now. There's so much to get to, you guys. There's so much to get to in one podcast. That's why I gave a few minutes to just have a spoiler-free portion. But if you're here for the full-out review, you came at the right time. Thank you so much for the host, Siren. Hopefully you had a good day so far. I would have been more favorable if instead of these bizarre dream sequences, they had like some narration to go along with the like screenshots of those major past events. Yeah, like there's like the thing is that Snyder, I think that he leans towards one way or the other a lot of time. Like you get some awesome scenes in Man of Steel, for example, some really cool fight scenes, and then you get some cool imagery. And I think that he has moments like he did in Man of Steel where they're just it all come together pretty nicely. Like I think that the world of Krypton that they created was pretty cool in Man of Steel. Like they did a really good job of creating that world, of this alien planet technology and the kind of how the things work there. Whereas in this film, I think he leaned more towards Sucker Punch, where it's just like there's a lot of imagery and like slow motion sequences and stuff like that that aren't really making sense for like what they're trying to create in the movie. I think like there needs to be more story and narration and more direction in one path. It's all over the place. It's just like Batman, Superman. We haven't gotten the Superman portion yet. We've been talking about Batman so long, but Superman's had some growth as well after his film, and I think that to a certain extent there's some good development there character wise, but there's also a lot of moments there where you're just like, what? Why? Like I feel like every time Superman was on screen, it was because Lois was on screen almost. All you got was Lois popping up and always in danger, and then Superman coming to her save her rescue constantly. And I think it underplayed both characters a little bit. My sister says fam now, and she's a weeb. I've missed so much. Yes, yes. Siren's been getting hip around here. Okay. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, you're fine, Siren. I was kind of upset at Batman's character being ready to use lethal force. It was crazy, but I only understand the apocalypse scene and everything else. Why? So yeah, there's a lot of scenes in the film that I think have kind of they're kind of subjective, and some of them are leaning towards some other things, like the Flash. The Flash showing up, warning of you have to save her and all this other stuff. That scene was just really ran like it's. I understand why they wanted to go that route, to kind of prelude towards Justice League, but keep in mind, like as a film, it is just all over the place. Like there's like the Flash just randomly appearing. Don't save her. Yeah, Bruce, please. Okay, he's doing all that shit there. You got Superman talking with Lois. Lois trying to get her story together there. Yeah. Is Chicago pretty? Right now it's storming. It's raining right now, so I wouldn't say it's pretty. But it has its moments though in the summertime. Be pretty nice. No, I wish it was the actual weave. But man, yeah, that's right, young. I didn't get the whole dream sequence with the Flash. But basically, the Flash he has the power to kind of move through time and space to a certain extent. Like he can run so fast that he can open up wormholes throughout time and create like alternate realities, or at least past alternate realities like Earth 2. So basically, from what I can tell, Flash was running back. He was running back through time to kind of fix a future where I guess Darkseid is ruler. He has information for the anti-life equation, and he takes over the Earth. And something sends Superman off the edge as well. He's had the dream with Batman, where even if you were going down that route for the dream sequence, even if let's just say that the dream sequence is actually done well, even if you're going down that route with Darkseid and Apocalypse and everything else there, still does not explain what the hell happened with Superman. So you're telling me that Superman, like Lois dies at some point in the future, and so Superman goes crazy and he starts killing people and then joins Darkseid. It makes no sense. Like the entire thing is just going way too far one way. Um, so that whole sequence was just too much for me. There was some cool imagery there. Again, like Sucker Punch. There's some cool imagery there. You got Batman wearing this whole steampunk gear. He's like the last of resistance and all this other stuff. That's cool. But as far as making sense, it is fucking all over the place. The dream sequence was a warning. It was a reference from Crisis Infinite Earths, but at the same time, in the movie, he's just warning Bruce about the impending invasion of Darkseid and the parademons and maybe the new gods, I guess. See, that's the thing, though, Kellen, that he was warning of Darkseid and the parademons and everything else there, but he also mentioned, her. He said that she was the key, and you were right, etc., etc. But you don't know what he's talking about there. Of course, at the time being, it makes more sense for what Batman is trying to go through. Because we get this entire thing with Batman escalating himself, into being something more than he was before. Because he sees Superman, what he can do. He's like, look, guys, I was fighting criminals and, Two-Face and stuff like that for the last 10 years. Now you have these aliens coming in here, blowing up cities and stuff like that. I'm not enough anymore. I need more. Which is understandable. I could say, okay, Batman's escalating a bit more because he wants to be able to protect, our planet from whatever the hell is going to happen here. And I think that it was nice to give them that kind of tone where Batman is actually showing the human side. He's like, he was there in Metropolis when things went down, and he's like, I don't want that to happen again. I can't see the world being safe from these kind of people, where you can just have a fight in the middle of a city and then everyone dies. I understand Batman wanted to escalate himself to be prepared for that kind of world, but Batman goes from escalating and preparing himself for that kind of world and that kind of showdown with Superman to actually just doing it based on like really little knowledge or detective work at all. I feel like there's just a lot of loopholes in there. Denny, you saw Batman vs Superman the movie? Yeah, if yes, can you tell me the story, please? Who wins? I won't go to watch it on cinema, so I'm curious. Well, basically, as far as who wins, technically, I guess you could say Batman wins the fight, but really the fight itself is so anticlimactic. It is so forced that you don't have any stake in it. It's one of the things I think that makes Civil War seem more appealing to me right now because there's more at stake and you have more ties to both characters. I feel like I feel more connected to Tony and Captain America, and the fact that they're fighting, it just feels more, you know, no, this is a stronger feeling to me than I would say that you have in this movie. There's no ties at all to the characters right now. Whereas even in The Dark Knight Returns, which they allude to a lot in this movie, Bruce and Clark have a history, so it's not like, they're just meeting for the first time. They have a long history together, and so when they break out like this, it's a huge moment in the comics. But here it's like two people meeting for the first time, as Lex Luthor says, "Oh yeah, it's Gotham's Gotham's night, and we got Superman here. Like, who cares? Like, it's just too much." Cat Snow, what's up, man? I don't think Superman necessarily joined the bad side. That maybe it was just like his own army type of thing. But I mean, I can see that being true to a certain extent. But why would he want Batman so bad, though? Yes, good night in Germany. Okay, good night, man. On some injustice type shit. But what I'm saying is that you remember like Superman had that conversation with Batman though, where he's like, she is my everything. You took that from me, whatever. Why is that the dream? You know what I'm saying? I can see Superman having his own resistance or whatever, but this like it's not enough there. It's just too much of us guessing what's actually happening. You know what I mean? There's not enough actual fact happening in the film. It's just all over the place. There's not enough of us actually knowing what's happening on screen, and even us being comic book fans, we're still guessing what's happening. So imagine what it's like for people that don't even know what the hell's going on. They're just like watching shit going on the screen with like Batman with like machine guns. It's wondering what the hell is happening on screen, and then they go back to reality, and none of that's happening. So I think that Snyder wanted to find ways to sneak in these extreme versions of the characters doing things they never do to add some shock value to the film and some things you've never seen on film, which is fine, I guess, but it doesn't really help with the overall story at all. And then there's a matter of Superman himself. I think that showing Superman's growth from Man of Steel is a nice. I think that was actually a pretty cool arc for a while, like showing how Superman's feeling about himself in the movie, how the world feels about him. People are like, oh, he's a hero, he's a menace, he's some of both. He can't be trusted. There's only one God, it's not Superman. And people have that growth there where they're just not sure which one they want to lean towards. And so it's just like if a Superman were to show up in real life right now, you'd have those moments where people were like on one side or the other. And that was real. That was pretty well done. I'd say that was kind of. I feel like that was kind of like the groundwork they were working on after Man of Steel when they decided on Man of Steel 2. I feel like we're getting some of that in the script writing or whatever in the screenwriting for the sequel before it became a Batman vs Superman film. I think that the parts there were kind of already worked on beforehand, and it showed kind of like Superman's growth as a character, just understanding a bit more about what his life is like, what his world is like as a savior to some people and a threat to other people at the same time. Um, yeah, there's just a couple things. I think that that part was kind of cool, but there are a lot of parts about Superman's character as well that are kind of lacking. Tacos Fernandez, what's up? Two things that I think make Superman not Superman to me in this movie. One of them is the I have to go talk to Batman or kill Batman to save my mom. That whole thing was just so. It was. I feel like 12-year-olds like wrote part of the script sometimes. I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? So Lex Luthor gets access to the Kryptonian ship and General Zod. We haven't started talking about Lex yet. Lex is just a whole nother story. But he gets access to the ship and General Zod. He uses that to create Doomsday. Um, and somehow I guess he gets knowledge of Kal-El and Clark being Superman. This all happens off screen, by the way. So he gets knowledge of Clark being Superman. He kidnaps Clark's mom, Martha Kent, hides her somewhere in some secret part of Gotham. Which, keep in mind, Batman manages to find before Superman does. And Superman is given an hour, basically, to either fight Batman to the death or watch his mom die, get flayed, basically set on fire. Then they're like, oh, guys, Lex Luthor is ruthless now. He's a savage. It's like, first off, guys, you're Superman. You can run, you can fly back and forth from fucking Gotham City to Metropolis in like 2 seconds. You're telling me you can't fucking find your mom in the fucking 45 minutes it takes for you to fight Batman? I mean, come on now. Like, it was just stupid. Martha! Just fucking terrible. Oh my god. So we get to the actual fight, guys. The fight, you got Batman and Superman, and they're clashing. Of course, Batman brings out the the kryptonite. I think that the kryptonite was actually used pretty well as far as like not only just combat but just in general as like a deterrent for Superman. The world wants a way to take down these kind of people, and that makes sense. So like the way they found the kryptonite and all that kind of stuff, no problem with that. The way Batman used the kryptonite, no problem with that. It makes sense for that being a deterrent, but for it being like Batman's like, you know what? I'm gonna take it on myself to kill this guy who I don't know anything about because he's an alien. He's an outside force. He can destroy the world. He's having these crazy dream sequences, and flashbacks and all other shit. So he goes down into, a knockout, drag out fight with Superman, and of course it's only working because he has kryptonite. But some of the action there was kind of cool, but I was so distracted by the fact that the entire fight was, pretty much created through some really stupid memes that I could not even focus on the fight itself for the most part. I was like, you guys are really fighting over this right now? Like, Batman, you spent like 0.5 seconds on any kind of detective work in this movie. You got the wheelchair scene. Well, actually, like the only sinister scene from Lex in the entire movie was when he was talking to the senator, and that was actually really pretty well done. And then Superman standing there, knowing that everything's gonna happen here, he's like, "Oh shit, it's already over." Boom! The entire place blows up. That was actually a really awesome scene. I was like, "Okay, I can take you seriously right now. I can take you pretty seriously right now, movie." Sounds more like a plan. Um. So yeah, I was like, "This is looking pretty good at this point," and then it just started going downhill because, of course, Batman overreacts. Of course, Batman overreacts. He decides he doesn't want to just go with, talking to Superman maybe beforehand. And instead, he goes into full out workout mode. You get a nice Rocky montage scene with Batman fucking pulling tires and shit and flexing. It's just crazy. Kakashi, what's up, man? Oh, yeah, Master Turtle. Okay, nice. Abby, thank you for the host. The actor who played Lex Luthor can make a great Joker. I don't know about that one, Turtle. I don't know about that one at all. Like, I'm good on that one. You mean Jesse Eisenberg? I don't want to see him as Joker. I'm good on that. Rachel! Swear to me! Abby, thank you for that host, though. I really appreciate it. Abby girl. How was Ben Affleck acting as Batman? Many complained because he was chose to play Batman since he's not an action type. I think Ben Affleck was fine as Batman and as Bruce. I think he added a realistic tone to the role. I don't really have a problem with him as Batman. I think that the suit was awesome as well. He was definitely fit for it, and it looked pretty damn good. Okay, Kakashi, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Um, can I leave that the Kimmel thing? Okay, yeah. Let me permit you. But yeah, like I'd say that I don't have a problem with Ben Affleck as Batman. The problem is the way that Ben Affleck as Batman was written. They make they make Superman and they make Batman just so they don't make intelligent decisions in my opinion. Like Batman doesn't fact check anything. So one of the main oh no, I haven't watched the movie yet. Oh Abby, look, we already passed the spoiler free version of the review. I reviewed the first for about 20 minutes already, spoiler free, and now we're going heavily into the spoiler stuff. And I'd say that right now, yeah, it's kind of past that point. But yeah, I'm gonna click on that link like in a minute here. Let me open that up. But yeah, there's just some parts though that they're just missing. They're missing parts of the character. Akira was saying, it's just like it wasn't Superman. Superman wouldn't take that way out. I mean, I know that these characters aren't completely supposed to be their comic book versions at this point. They're still early on in their story arcs. Um, but there's no. I can't get past the fact that Superman's like making some of these decisions. Like the one he makes to fight Batman in the first place. It's just not. It's not Superman. I look how you set up your overlay though, Dan. It looks nice. Thank you. But Great White Bear actually put together an overlay for me as far as the layout, like the Doomcast over there, and like the topic of the today spot. I added in the rest of it myself, like the wording for my name up here, and like the pictures and all that stuff. I do that every week, but Bear added the rest of the stuff. So yeah, I'd say that there's definitely just some moments there I'm just like confused, and then we still have Lex himself. One of the things that made me really annoyed was the fact that Lex decides that he wants to make a devil. If man can kill a god, then the devil will. He goes and makes Doomsday. I don't understand why the logic would be okay. We have Superman. Let's make something that's stronger than Superman and have no control over it. So you have signs of someone like Superman who's showing his humanity and showing he's gonna be a hero. Instead of him, you decide you'd rather create something that's completely out of your control, that's even more stronger. He's just stronger than Superman, and then just send him off on the world. What kind of sense does that make in any fucking world ever? It's like going, oh, you know what? I really hate that you have these machine guns. So, you know what? To stop your machine guns, I'm gonna take this laser death beam that can destroy the entire city. I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna use that instead. Oh, but keep in mind that I don't have any control over it. After I shoot this laser at you, it just has a mind of its own. It's just crazy. I'm like, I don't understand why you would create something that you can't control yourself and that tries to kill you in the film. Maybe he figured he can control it. In what way, shape, or form though? Like there's no sign. Like Lex never even pretends to like show a sign that he can control it though. Like never. Like in the moment that he's created, you don't see a moment where Lex is like my masterpiece. Oh, now I'm gonna send him off to kill you. That never happens at all. There's no sign of him wanting to create and control that Doomsday. All you see is him, born, and then see him trying to punch Lex in the face, where Superman stops him from doing. Did you see that comedian bit on YouTube? I did, actually. I'm still a bit confused about that one. I might show it on stream for you guys too. with the Kimmel thing. With his DNA, yeah, there's a fucking DNA thing. It's just so, God, guys. Lex had no business creating Doomsday. Yeah, what's up, the Jackster? What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Like, there's just no, there's no reason for that. And then the fact that once again we got Lex who's like, I'm gonna take your mom, and so you gotta go kill Batman or die yourself. Like, I felt like I was watching a movie that was written by like my 12, like my like little cousins, and they were like, they had some crayon and a big ass like notepad, and like, yeah, because Lex was like, I'm gonna take your mom, and then he's like, no, don't take my mom. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna make him fight Batman because Batman's got the kryptonite, so we just put them together and they go fight each other. Like it was just not executed well at all. The only characters that were pretty intelligent in the film, I'd say, were Wonder Woman, who was actually pretty sharp. And I like the way they played of her in the scene in Metropolis with her and Bruce or Ben Affleck. It's pretty cool. She had the best part of the fight scene too, with the sword and the shield action. She's just cutting away at Doomsday. That was badass. And then you have Alfred. I think is pretty sharp. He makes some pretty good points in the film as well. Like, oh, we're branding people now. Really, Batman? Like, we go from fighting crime and saving lives, and now you're over here branding people and putting them in jail to die. Like, what's happened to you? Like, Affleck made more sense. I mean, Alfred made more sense in the movie than all the other characters, pretty much, in my opinion. The Senator was pretty cool too, as far as like grounding the actual characters. Lois, I mean, Lois was just being Lois, like she was in the first film, which is kind of annoying, but kind of annoying in a good reporter way. It was kind of like House of Cards in a little bit on that side. But another thing we kind of missed over was the entire like kind of government cover up they're talking about there. But we find out it was Lex Luthor. He planned the entire scenario for those people dying, where pretty much the only reason why Superman was there was to save Lois. It can create this entire incident with the government, and basically Superman swoops in to save Lois, and ends up being this entire international event where people died. It was all set up by Lex basically. So Lex has been playing this long game for a minute now, and that was actually a pretty cool idea. I thought it was pretty well done as far as that goes for to a certain extent. Um, and so that's what I'm saying. At that point, that whole storyline was actually pretty sharp, but the problem was that the rest of it wasn't put together too well. But where was Fox still? Morgan Freeman. Well, they kind of had Alfred kind of playing that role, of Lucius Fox in the movie. He's kind of working on some tech for the Batmobile and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think that Lex creating Doomsday was necessarily the best idea. Like it was cool how they kind of had the science part of it, and they put him into the ship and everything like that. And he had the fingerprints and everything like he had taken off of Zod. That stuff was kind of cool. And I always liked the Kryptonian chip and the alien tech side of Man of Steel in the way they use in this movie. I thought it was pretty cool. The problem is that everything is coming at you so fast. It's all so rushed. It's like we're going from one part to bam. Okay, the fight didn't work out too well. Doomsday, come out here. It's like Batman vs Superman. You know what? Superman's still alive. Guess what? Have to get Doomsday out here to finish the job. And then it goes from like being escalated already between Batman and Superman and that whole fight and that showdown to being escalated to a whole other level with Doomsday, like flying around, fucking shooting giant laser beams, destroying half the like fucking country. It was just it escalated really quickly, guys. Like, oh, who's calling me? Of course, it's my sister. Okay, you have to wait. So we got that, guys. We got some of that in there. A few things. I still have the vote open, by the way, too, guys. If you guys want to vote in that poll, we'll take a look at the actual vote in a minute here as well. But I'd say that was annoying. The whole alternate dream reality sequences was annoying. Batman and Superman both being pretty stupid as far as like how things work for the conflict was also annoying. Um, why is my sister calling me right now? 1,000 times. So yeah, basically all that was pretty annoying there as well. But um, another thing that kind of pissed me off was the way. Why is this Jimmy Kimmel deleted scene more entertaining than the actual movie? If I can put it on the stream for you guys, I can put it on the stream for a moment here. The problem is that I can't. I don't want to put too much on stream, and then I can't use it for the podcast because then they'll just flag me. So that's another thing. So I might show it towards the end of the actual podcast, so I can edit it out if I need to when I put the recording up. Um, but we'll see here. Okay, I got the video up, so like I might play it towards the end of the podcast so that it won't flag if I end up trying to put it up on YouTube. Because it's like YouTube is really finicky of some of that stuff. So like I played a trailer for Civil War and my entire podcast got flagged and they took it off for like the one fucking trailer. So I gotta be more careful about that stuff. But I show it towards the end, so if I need to, I can edit it out for you guys. Yeah. So basically, with the most of the actual movie, I don't think that it was thought out as well as it should have been. I feel like if they had waited probably towards the end of the year and gave it a little bit more time to kind of sit and think about some of the things they were putting in the movie, um, I think it would have worked out better for the movie. Um, but we'll see. What were you saying pissed you off? Well, basically, saying what pissed me off about this movie in general is kind of hard. Like, because there's so many things. So another thing that was annoying was let's go into the whole Justice League thing. So, Justice League, they kind of alluded to some of the other characters that are going to be in the Justice League eventually. So, thank you for the host, Zonder. So they had some allusions to Justice League in the movie as well. Like you got the Flash, you got Cyborg, Aquaman, a few other characters. Um, and I feel like it could have been done a lot better than what we got there in the movie. The cyborg portion was kind of cool. It looked like he had access to a mother box, maybe. There that he was using for the cyborg. Like you could see like parts of cyborg. Like the scene itself, like the video scene, was kind of interesting. I wanted to see more of like that what was going on there at that particular segment. The Aquaman one was pretty stupid. And I like Aquaman, so don't get me wrong. I actually like Aquaman as a character. I think he's pretty badass. Like he's a king of Atlantis. He's a king of like the seven seas. So I'm totally down for the whole Aquaman thing. But the way they shot that scene though was pretty weak. Like oh, slow motion stab at the camera. Oh, and then zoom out. Boom. I'm gone. That whole thing was fucking weird. Just strange. The Flash scene was kind of cool. I don't like the long hair on Flash, but it was kind of cool. Like how he like stopped that guy, and the milk was still kind of like it was still floating. He got back to the milk before he even caught it before he even hit the ground. That was kind of cool, but like the way that they approached the Justice League characters, like was strange. I didn't like this segment there. It was too convenient and gimmicky. Like, oh, look at this, these conveniently logoed superhero videos with these creations here. Click Flash, with the lightning bolt already on the fucking screen, and Cyborg and Aquaman. Click, click, click. Like that was just bad. Like when we're in the world in the realm of film and storytelling, where your best storytelling option is to have someone find the computer file with other characters on it, and just click on each name basically and it shows their origin stories and stuff like, in a second. It's just weird, man. That was not good film or storytelling at all. Like just lazy. Those dream sequences were weird, but in a way I felt like they were kind of necessary to kind of get into the general audience's head that weird alternate reality shit does happen. I guess you have a point there. All right, guys, I'll be right back because my sister keeps calling me. I'm not sure why. So I gotta take a small break here in the middle of the podcast because I don't know why she's calling me right now. I'll be right back, guys. Thanks for being patient. I'll put some more music on so I can see what's going on. Part of live streaming, guys. We have this happening. But I'll be right back.